Recall the days when Ford controlled the roads. This was no ordinary automaker, rather. It was a representation of the American spirit and inventiveness. From the Mustang that attracted attention for generations to the Model T that got the nation moving, Ford created more than just automobiles, they created symbols. Now, however, things appear different. Ford appears to be stuck in reverse, and the heyday seems like a faraway memory. Customers are wondering what went wrong, and dealers are in a bind due to recalls, layoffs, and overstocked lots. However, just when it appeared that Ford was struggling, they made a shocking announcement that has the whole auto industry in a frenzy. This is not merely a business announcement. What Ford has disclosed has the potential to change not just their own future, but also the course of the whole auto industry. What does Ford and you stand to gain from this revolutionary move? Let's get started. We must first review what made Ford a legend in order to comprehend the significance of Ford's announcement. Ford was more than just a car manufacturer decades ago. It was a movement. Henry Ford's assembly line transformed global industry operations, in addition to the way automobiles were manufactured. The Model T became the vehicle that put America on wheels, and it didn't simply come off the assembly lines. Next came the Mustang, a vehicle that represented freedom in addition to speed. Encased in sleek, fashionable steel, it embodied the spirit of a generation that desired power and adventure. Not to be overlooked are Ford trucks, which have served as America's workhorses for many years. As indispensable as a hammer and nails, the F-Series was used by ranchers and construction workers alike. The magic began to fade somewhere along the line. As rivals like Tesla and Toyota started to dominate the market with innovations that made Ford appear outdated, Ford's hold on the market loosened. Ford appeared to lag behind as consumer expectations changed due to electric cars, hybrids, and advanced technology. This paved the way for a string of difficulties that culminated in the momentous announcement of today. Ford's difficulties were caused by a number of factors, rather than just one disastrous incident. Furthermore, there are the 2255 models or the absence of them. Less than 1,000 of the more than 200,000 new Ford trucks sold in the United States, Chevrolet has already switched over half of its inventory to the newest models, which is a sharp contrast to this. There is no doubt about the difference. Ford is having difficulty progressing, whereas its rivals are advancing at a rapid pace. Nevertheless, Ford made a statement that halted the industry in its tracks, despite these difficulties. Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, disclosed that the company intends to increase the cost of its 2255 vehicles. You read correctly, Ford is increasing the bar while other automakers are lowering prices to clear inventory. This is a daring move that has left both customers and dealers perplexed. Why would Ford believe they can sell cars at greater cost if they aren't selling at their present ones? It's about long-term value, Farley says. Ford thinks that the advancements in their 2255 model lineup attract more amenities, increased economy, and new technology will make these cars worth the additional price. Even though it may take some time, they are placing a wager that customers will see the benefit. However, not everyone is persuaded. Dealers, who are already overwhelmed with unsold inventory, are anticipating additional consumer resistance. In the meantime, consumers must contend with growing interest rates, which make it more costly than ever to finance a new vehicle. For Ford, it's a bold gamble that could either pay out handsomely or fail terribly. The announcement seems to Ford's dealers like stoking a fire that is already on fire. In order to clear space on their lots, several continue to offer high discounts on their massive stocks of 2203 and 2204 models. They must now introduce 2203-05 variants and figure out how to persuade customers to spend the extra money. The logistical obstacles are mounting. The difficult chore of striking a balance between promoting the new lineup and clearance sales has fallen on dealerships that were already overburdened. Additionally, dealers fear that the timing couldn't be worse, despite Ford's insistence that the 2255 vehicles have advances that warrant the price rise. Uncertainty in the economy and rising interest rates. In order to clear space on their lots, several continue to offer high discounts on their massive stocks of 2203 and 2204 models. They must now introduce 2255 variants with even bigger price tags and figure out how to persuade customers to spend the extra money. And fierce rivalry from companies like Toyota and Chevrolet make it difficult to sell these more expensive versions. Nevertheless, Ford is still hopeful. Farley and his staff think that after consumers see what the new assortment has to offer, they will change their minds. However, it is still unclear how long dealers can hold out with so much unsold inventory currently filling dealership lots. The worst part is that Ford is attempting to establish itself as a leader in the auto industry's future by doubling down on electric cars and new technology, in addition to raising pricing in an attempt to turn things around. Is a new age being ushered in, or are they putting themselves in danger? Interview with Legends Future Phenomenus on the Autoline media platform Asked Wills. In the media placement, launched by Polster, we'll examine how Ford's pricing strategy and inventory crisis relate to their ambitious EV goals in Part 2. Keep an eye out. The sheer volume of cars sitting idle is the most noticeable thing at a Ford dealership right now. Models like the F-150 and Bronco were flying off the lot a year ago. Right now, they are collecting dust. The issue is not only that these cars are still in production, but also that there are a lot of them. 2023 unsold models are now a pain in Ford's side, taking up valuable dealer lot space and necessitating steep discounts to move them. Additionally, Ford appears to be stagnating while other automakers are making progress in getting rid of their outdated inventories. The majority of inventory from brands like Chevrolet and Ram has already been switched to their 2255 models. For example, Chevrolet has transferred more than half of its truck inventory to the next model year, rendering its 2233 vehicles all but obsolete. In contrast, Ford still has 2233 unsold trucks, which accounts for more than 2% of their entire inventory at this late point in the year. There is more to the problem than appearances. Customers have a perception issue when they enter a dealership and find rows of older vehicles. Customers begin to doubt these cars' worth and ask why they haven't sold. In order to clear the backlog, dealers must lower their pricing, which further reduces their already slim profit margins. And the icing on the cake? Many dealers are feeling stuck in a difficult situation as a result of Ford's new pricing approach for 2255 vehicles. The industry is in disarray as a result of Ford's decision to increase the price of its 2255 models. It appears to be a daring, possibly even hazardous action at first glance. Higher pricing, after all, usually only work in situations where demand is high. However, the current state of Ford's business presents a quite different picture. Inventory is high, demand is weak, and consumers are becoming more wary of expensive purchases. What is the reason behind Ford's pricing hike? Jim Farley, the CEO, says the goal is to make the 2,500 products in the lineup seem like high-end items that are worth the higher price. Ford thinks that these cars will stand out thanks to their new features, enhanced technology, and increased efficiency. Theoretically, it makes sense because consumers are willing to pay more for goods they believe to be of greater quality. In actuality, however, the timing couldn't be worse. The cost of financing a new car has increased due to rising interest rates. A higher-priced car's monthly payments are just too expensive for many customers. It's easy to see why dealerships are concerned when you factor in inflation's aftereffects and economic uncertainty. In a thriving market, raising MSRPs might be effective, but in the current climate, it feels like a long-shot play. Let's examine the Bronco in more detail, one of Ford's most unexpected obstacles. This legendary model was an immediate hit when Ford brought it back. Dealerships were finding it difficult to meet the demand, as buyers couldn't get enough of it. Some consumers were even prepared to spend significantly more than MSRP to obtain one, and waiting lists were months lengthy. The story is completely different in the present day. Broncos are accumulating instead of flying off the lot. Unsold merchandise is overflowing onto grassy fields and secondary lots, and dealers are running out of space to park it. The Bronco itself isn't the issue. It's still a capable, adventure-ready SUV that fans like. The cost is the problem. For instance, the 2204-pound Ford Bronco Badlands has an astounding MSRP of more than $780,000. It's simple to understand why consumers are hesitant when you contrast that with the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, its primary rival, which has a far more affordable pricing. Also, discounts aren't doing much to help. The price of the Bronco Badlands remains at an eye-watering $62,000, despite dealer incentives and factory rebates total over $7,000. That's simply too high for the majority of purchasers, particularly given the current market. Ford must reconsider their pricing strategy if they hope to sell these Broncos, or else they run the risk of making this once-loved SUV a warning. There are other models dealing with challenges besides the Bronco. The F-150 and Ranger, Ford's mainstay trucks, are also suffering. These vehicles were the epitome of in-demand a year ago. They are currently sitting unsold at dealership lots all over the nation. For the first time in many years, consumers can purchase an F-150 for less than $50,000, thanks to dealer discounts of up to $10,000 on some trims. However, the backlog cannot be cleared with these price reductions alone. Additionally, there is the Ford Expedition, a full-size SUV that starts at $85,000 to buy. Indeed, you read correctly, an SUV for $85,000. In an attempt to unload these cars, dealers are cutting prices by up to $11,000, yet many purchasers still find the price to be high. The majority of people anticipate that an Expedition will cost somewhere around $60,000, not close to $70. These price concerns draw attention to a more serious issue. Ford is using too many discounts to move inventory. Discounts can be beneficial in the short run, but they also reduce profit margins and run the danger of harming the reputation of the brand. Consumers begin to look for discounts and may be reluctant to pay full price, establishing a vicious circle that is difficult to escape. Ford's inventory issues and pricing strategies are only one aspect of the situation. To safeguard its future, the corporation is secretly placing enormous bets on new technology and electric cars. But is this the audacious idea Ford needs? Or is it a risk that could have serious consequences? We will examine Ford's entry into the electric vehicle market, their financial difficulties, and the dangers of overproduction in Part 3. Keep an eye out. One thing is certain, despite Ford's struggles with pricing and inventory, the corporation sees electric vehicles as its future. Ford has been positioning its EV portfolio as a game-changer and an extension of its iconic brand into a tech-driven, environmentally conscious world for years. However, the path has not been easy. The Model E, Ford's electric vehicle subsidiary, has degenerated into a financial mess.